Hello and welcome to the All About Ability podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Coyle Financial and Strathclyde House Buyers. Coyle Financial are proud supporters of local communities and specialise in helping you protect what matters most. For your family, your lifestyle and even your income, they have it covered. Coyle Financial are now offering free wills regardless of whether or not you need any other service. Go check them out on the website www.kyle-financial.co.uk or check them out on Facebook, Twitter or even Instagram. Strathclyde House Buyers are a local property solutions company who specialise in helping people sell their property quickly with no fees. If you or anyone you know are looking for a fast, stress-free sale, check them out on the website www.strathclydehousebuyers.com on Facebook or on Instagram. Davey Blaze, right? What I've always wondered is why Blaze? Because you're David Coyle, right? I've always thought he must be a 420 guy to come up with that name. Surely that
Well, what basically happened with my name being with me getting called Davey Blaze was I was with my trainer Kid Fight. We were going down to Largs to promote his Breaking Limits event. So we were sitting in the car. And he's like, I can't get my head around this. He says, why is it you're just, he says, because at first the boys all thought that my second name was Blaze, right? Mm-hmm. And I went, well, my man dad's known me to fire, mate. I says, it's not like they're fucking superheroes. So they went, right. I says, I used to do breakdancing back in my day. So I done a bit of breakdancing and my nickname was B-Boy Blaze. And it was just, at first, I thought it was like a pure ridiculous breakdance name. So I was like, right, I'm ridiculous anyway at things. I says, I'm just a pure laugh, so I'm going to go with it. And then that's it. It just kind of stuck with me. And Kid Fight went like that, right? He says, well, that's it. You meant Davey, that's your first name. Blaze, that's you. Here's your name.
See, to be fair, actually, it's quite catchy. I'll give you that. Like, it's a good wrestling name.
I try to be catchy with things, mate.
As long as it's not COVID, just sound, you know.
No, I know. I'll be batting that off, mate.
No. Because you've been wrestling for a long time, man.
12 and a half years, mate.
So since 2009, I mean, it was like
2009, aye.
That's so mental, man. Because it must be hard to keep yourself in good conditioning for that long.
It is. Don't get me wrong, there was a few times where it was like, and it's so weird because there was boys that were saying to me, like experienced boys like Lionheart and stuff like that, Wolfgang, Kid Fight, Jester. There was a few boys that said to me like, at one point when you were younger in my teenage years, like you had the most talked about physique. It's for so many years in Scottish wrestling, but then it was like personal things started happening in my life, and it was like, no that I was like ever out of shape. I wasn't ever out of shape, but it was like, see how like my gut area and how massive I was. It was like, it was weird because I've always had good genetics. Know that, but I work hard as well when I'm in the gym now, right? Aye. But it's like, there was times where when I started sliding, I wasn't looking as what I should have been. Do you know what I mean? So so the gym routine stuff, it's like in wrestling, it's very important that you keep yourself like athletically fit and in-ring fit, because you're, like, there was times when I was wrestling, before the COVID, like every weekend, sometimes maybe through the week, like if you're doing the camps, you're wrestling through the week. So it was like to do all that and then also keep up with other people in different styles or whatever they do. Then you need to keep yourself like agile and stuff like that. You need to make sure that you're on the ball and your fitness is at peak level. So, it's just matter of fact and just keeping yourself right. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, for sure, man. It must have changed a lot since then, though.
In what aspect did it?
Just in the sense of like, it's like it feels as if it's, when you look at 2009 and now, it's like the whole wrestling scene is so different than it was before.
Majorly, man. Majorly, aye. And it was so weird because it makes, I love it because it's like, as you were saying, you look back to 2009 and then to where we are now. So it was like the generation, my generation that came through, like myself, Andy Wild, Noam Dar, Keely Ray and stuff like that. Joe Coffey, Mark Coffey, even though they were at different schools. But it was like this generation that came through we were like kind of breaking out on shows, we were doing very well, and then it was all of a sudden ICW like came. It was always there, do you know what I mean? But they were running the Maryhill community halls and stuff like that, and just in general, the other Scottish scene as well, like PBW, BCW, other Scottish companies as well, like Lionhearts, Pro Wrestling Elite, like these. Don't get me wrong, Lionheart's company didn't come until years after, until wrestling was really at the peak, and then still growing. But the likes of like PBW, BCW, ICW, these companies were like, they were PBW and BCW running big venues, but they were selling very well, right? But it was like other venues, they had the potential to be filled up and constantly be sold out every time. So it was like when ICW started getting bigger, and we started then getting it, the tours down south, the UK tours, and then obviously like the arenas, like the ACCC, the Hydro, Dallas started getting all the big names in. Like, we helped build Scottish wrestling to where it is today. So it's like, now we've got it. Now we've gave Scottish wrestling the platform that it deserves. So it's just so cool to look back. When I look back, there's sometimes when I'm in the house and I watch old matches or old shows, and you're watching shows and you're like, wow, that venue was like that, but New Year's later it's always sold out. So it's a pretty good feeling. It's like makes you humble. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
it's absolutely fantastic.
Because, like you say, the group of guys you're talking about really brought it all to the forefront. Because before that, you know, it's all really, wrestling's mainly been American based. It's mainly an American thing.
It was, and it's the only reason why it was. People think it was like an American thing, because it's like British wrestling. I would say British wrestling is just as big. Not in the sense of like production and stuff like that, but British wrestling is just as big as American style wrestling, because back in the day, obviously you had World of Sport, and that was on like Saturday nights and stuff like that. like my gran and grandpa, when they were alive years ago, they used to watch it and stuff. So it was like you had Mick McGuinness, Johnny Saint, Rollable Rocco and all that. So, but I would say that at the time when that was all happening, you had the American style of wrestling, right? It was big, but this is like at the time when you had like they all had their territories. So it was AWA, it was WWF, it was Vince McMahon's father that had that company before Vince took it over. So this was before cable TV had reached the scene. So the only place that the only reason how WWE became so big and what it did and where it made its money was because of cable TV. Whereas British wrestling, I would say, was maybe bigger than American style wrestling at that point back in the day. And I would say the only thing that made American style wrestling more bigger in the entertainment aspect and production is because of cable TV, and where cable TV has led WWE to the likes of today.
That's a really interesting point. I never really thought of it like that, because you're obviously you've seen all that and seen how it's developed. So
it's like you look back. So it's like if you say, like for instance, if you're a joiner, right? So, and you're serious about your trade, you want to do well in the trade, it's like you need to like do your homework. So it's like you would go back, you'd go back and you like see where did it all start, or who's the famous joiners before me. So then you would go back, you would look at the work, you would study the work, you would learn about the work, so you would learn about the history, right? And then it means that if anybody was to, if you go to somebody's house to do some joinery work, and somebody asks you about something, then you've got the knowledge, you understand, and you know the history, and you could say, well, if you look at such and such's work, this is where I kind of take his niche, put it in my own niche, and then this is what I've made for you. Do you know what I mean? So it's like in similar aspects, that's how I look at things. It's like in professional wrestling, like I always like to be prepared, know my knowledge, because in stuff like this, like me just saying that to you there, it's always good to always pass knowledge on. So it's like you always learn. Every day is a learning day. Do you know what I mean? So I like to keep myself on my toes.
Definitely. Well, I don't keep myself on my toes much, but I...
God. No, I bet you're doing quite well.
I'm happy sitting down, to be honest, but... What made you, like, see when you're talking about that, you can obviously see your passion for it, right? You can see how much it means to you and how much you wanted to know the history of it all. Similar to me when I was younger, like, I was very much into figuring out how everything worked and all that, but
yeah.
My kind of passion for it is actually wanting to do it faded away as I realised that there was no sign that somebody in the wheelchair could get involved in wrestling kind of thing. So that was where my thing ended. But in terms of yourself, how did you actually, what was it that made you so passionate about it? Who was it that inspired you to get involved in this and be so committed to it in that way?
Well, like my brother John, he was I come from a family of like military people, right? So my dad was like SAS. My brother John was in the Royal Armed Fusiliers, 1st Battalion Charlie Company. My uncle Pat, he was in the Argylls, so he done the Falklands and obviously like Bloody Sunday and stuff like that through Maggie Thatcher. So it was like my dad and my brother, my uncle Pat, like I've always looked at them and like it's always like came across to me. It's like anything you want to do, you can go and do it. So with my brother was like after 9/11, should you say, my brother was like in training down in Catterick and Harrogate to be ready as a soldier. So he then, when he passed his falling out parade and graduated as a Royal Armed Fusilier, he then went into straight to Iraq, and then he done 7.5 years there.
Oh, wow.
So my brother's survived. Well done. Well, he survived mainly, but he's done like Afghan, Basra, Baghdad, a 6-week survival camp in the jungle in Belize, running into guerrilla warfare fighters and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And it was mental. He took care of one of Saddam Hussein's palaces out in Iraq, so he did, and had parties in his pool and all that.
Really?
Aye, honestly, he's got Kodak pictures and everything.
I want to see that. I want to see that, man.
They're pretty cool. So it was like
that's incredible.
To me, it was like I was always looking at like my brother John, and I was like, I want to be like you. I want to be like you. I need to be like you. But where I started getting into wrestling was because originally I was wanting to get into the army, right? So my brother John said to me, he was like, well, at first my mum and dad were saying to me, because in my past I've got like bad anger management and stuff like that.
Better watch myself.
No, I was going to say, nowadays, like, it's still there, but I can control it because I channel it through weights, I channel it through into wrestling, right? So it was like, back in my younger days, I used to just like fly off the handle. It was like bang, like explode, and you would just go. So, and then it was like I was saying to my mum and dad, I was like pure breaking my heart, like pure emotional. I was like, I want to get into the army. I want to be like John because I'm getting bullied and I hate it. Like nobody's scared of John, like all this stuff. And it was like my mum and dad were like, you need to talk to him when he comes back. So it was like he came back, and at this point, I was like saying to him, and I was like telling him, I was like, I'm going into the army. I'm going into the army. And he was just looking at me and he was like, no, you're not. He says, you're not. So I was like, how? And even up until recently, I've always questioned him on it, right? Even though I've done so well in wrestling, but I've always questioned him on it. And he basically just said to me, he was like, you're my only wee brother. He says, Martin's my wee brother, that's my middle brother, right? I love him dearly. But he says, David, you're my only wee brother. He says, and it's no a war that I was fighting there. He says, it was like getting used. He says, so I don't want that happening to you. He says, and what you're doing in wrestling and what you have done, who you've wrestled, where you've wrestled, the belts that you've had, the TV programmes or movies you've been in. He says, that's what I want you to do. He says, do you know what I mean? So I kind of clicked on and I was like, right, all right, no bother. Cheers.
Can't really argue with that, can
No, you cannot argue with it. So that was me. That was I went into wrestling at 15, and then for there it was I started under the training school that Kid Fight owned at the time, before it was called PW Academy. It was Scottish Professional Wrestling Alliance, SPWA, and that was where my journey started, as training to be a wrestler.
15, man, that must have been wild.
15, and I was they thought I was older at first, because I can remember it. So can the boys. Like I walked in with this cotton blue old school kind of like night trackie, but the design it had on it, it was snowing that day and all, heavily snowing, so it looked like it was snow that was on my trackie, but it wasn't. And it was like, I came walking in and they were all like, oh, who's this and all that, so they were just instantly ripping into me. But I was like, I felt my anger gone. I was like, they're taking the gun out of me, right? And I was like, I'm gonna go for it. Yeah. But then it was like they all started like becoming my pals and all that, and I think they were like, right, but they couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe I was 15. They thought I was older. Obviously, back then, I must have been just going on to 13 stone. 13 stone, I saw I was back then, and they couldn't believe that I was that I was 15. I had to show them my Ds and stuff like that, just to prove that I. But I hate it, but because nowadays it's like people come up to me and go, "I so what age are you?" And I'm like, I don't know what age I'm. I'm like, I don't know, mate, about 46. I'm like, yeah, fucking bam. I'm like, I'm not 46.
You're 54, mate.
No, I don't, mate. You're going to make me para, man.
You're going to end up putting me through this too, mate.
Oh, Billburn.
No, but mate, see the thing is as well, like, see back then, I feel like wrestling's always been, people obviously have this idea that, of course it's scripted and things like that, but it's this notion that you're just kind of, you're fanning about and it's all play acting and none of it's, sort of like grind. But going back into somewhere like that in 2009, you're like, well, it must have been quite a tough environment to be around.
It was tough. It was tough because, like, and this is a weird thing. Like, to me, like, I walked in, and it was like the wrestling ring was there. There was guys there there that looked like wrestlers and stuff like that. So I was like, instantly I was like looking at it and I was like, right. And I started, getting the goosebumpy feeling. I was looking about and they had like the old school posters on the walls and stuff like that, the weighted area. So I was like, right, I says, I like this. I says, boom, this is what I wanted to see. Because if I walked in, with all due respect, if I seen shit, then I'd be like, nah, I'm going to go somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? So, but I walked in, and obviously because the area that I kind of grew up in, that was a tough area. So it was like, what the aspect of it, like walking in and then like kind of being put on edge, didn't really faze me. It was the matter of fact, it was like what put me on edge was, it was like, I walked in with an attitude that I didn't realise that I had, sorry. And they were like constantly drilling me, but it wasn't like nasty way they were doing it. This was like the way. Do you know what I mean? It was like, we're going to either beast you and you're going to leave, or we're going to beast you and you're going to be the wrestler that you want to be. So I was like determined. I was like, nah, you're not making me fucking stop. I'm not walking. I'm not. And it was like, push up, like fireman carries, squats, and then the wheelbarrow runs, stop, press ups. So it was like everything in it. It was like you were in the ring straight after. It was like you were sick in the ring. You were running on the spot, back bump, up, like running in the spot, front bump, up, and then flip bump, and then into your fishtail bumps. So it was like the intensity in what you were doing in tuning back then, like we were doing it for 7 hours straight every Sunday, and it didn't matter what sort of fucking weather it was, heavy snow, freezing below Celsius, we were always training in shorts and vests, no matter what. There was no heating no heating in the unit, nothing. Like, I'd be going home with the sniffles, I'd be going home with like a sore throat. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, nowadays, I'm not saying nowadays, the trainees nowadays need to do this, but it's like, sometimes I wish the trainees would just realise, like, how much easier, like, they actually have it, and they should just be more tolerant and respectful towards what we have actually built for them and what we've changed for them all in. Do you know what I mean? So, it was a pretty it was a pretty grueling. I'm not going to lie, but it was a pretty grueling like regime, but it made me who I'm a, and and I love it. I love it. I'll never, if somebody was to say to me, press that button and you can go back and change everything you ever done, I'd be like, nah, absolutely not.
And that's always the best way to look at it. I feel like you want to be happy for who you are today.
Exactly. Never change yourself for anybody.
Exactly, mate. See, because that's what I was going to say, is I feel like it's very much the old school mentality was, make you or break you type of thing. And a lot of people in that situation, because I don't think people realise that the grind of wrestling, the day-to-day, like, pretty much, I mean, you're wrestling, like you said, hours and every day, and the conditioning is so easy. I mean, I've obviously never wrestled, but in terms of like getting into wrestling and watching it, you can see that it's so easy to gas out in a wrestling ring.
Do you know what I mean? I've watched guys gas out the minute the bell rings, and you're like, oh my God, right? Like, don't get me wrong, there's a couple of times where and it wasn't sort of me like gassing at my arse because I don't do my cardio. It was like I was gassing at my arse because if we were doing like tours and stuff, and I was wrestling a guy that was faster than me, so it'd be like high fly spots, and I'd be like, oh my God, fuck it, I can't catch this guy, like I can't keep up with him, and I would blow at my arse. But there is your normal kind of like your normal cardiovascular level should be like here. Do you know what I mean? But just to do the basics, just to kind of the basic cardio stuff in the wrestling ring, like sequences, internationals, like forward rolls or nip ups. Like, right, I know most people can't do nip ups, but it's like these things. It's like you need to take into like fucking even a flip bump. Fuck's sake, if you can't do a flip bump in professional wrestling, why are you here? And it's all that sort of data cardio as well, because you need to jump, and then you need to turn your body, and then you need to tuck your head, and you need to land. So it's like all these things. It's like you need to take into consideration. It's all these like body movements, cardiovascular movements. It's like people don't really realise.
How athletic it is. It's like
I think they can just lace up a pair of boots and that's say my wrestling. They can walk out to Triple H's music and all that, and you're like, right, just you calm it, go to your bed.
Mate, you're so right. I remember actually being at WrestleMania Access, right, and I came out and they had a wee vamp for you can come with the theme songs.
Aye.
You can come to the ring, and I swear to God, mate, they put on Batista's theme song or something, and I wheeled out the ring.
Oh mate, I would have had Batista's my boy, man.
I was so fired up for it, mate, and I swear to God, by the time I got to the ring, I was like, thank God I'm not wrestling because I'm gassed out. Sure. I don't know how these guys do it, especially like when I look at like somebody like Ultimate Warrior.
Aye.
The intensity of that guy, man. See, do you ever hear that story Hulk Hogan was talking about, where he was like, when they had that match at WrestleMania, Ultimate Warrior, by the time he got to the ring, he was like 2 minutes into the match, he was like, go to the finish, and
Hulk
Hogan's like that, bro, we can't, we're the main event of WrestleMania, because he's obviously running 100 mile an hour, and by the time he gets there, you're like, he must have been pure.
He must have been fucked every single night, man.
I guess that's just a bit of a random sidetrack to bring up, but the actual when you were talking about how the training was then it is now, and how the guys should respect the kind of grind that you went through with that, which I totally, I can totally understand how, because when you look at the people that came through that yourself, and just all the way through even ICW and all these different wrestling promotions, and the impact you've had on British wrestling, you can see that training was obviously effective.
Aye, definitely. Like, absolutely, it was very effective.
Yeah,
very effective.
With the argument, but what I was curious to hear is, do you not think that maybe the actual is doing training differently in the way they do it now, even though it's slightly easier? Is that a better way of doing it? Because
I wouldn't say that they're doing it. I wouldn't say that they're doing it easier.
Definitely,
nowadays.
just definitely.
I'm saying that they're doing it a lot differently, and that isn't in a bad way. It's in a better way, right?
Yeah, it's taking care of the wrestlers more, maybe a wee bit.
It's just basically taking care of everything. Training skill, the fundamentals, the trainees, and the staff. Do you know what I mean? It's very carefully thought out, and then it's the plan of attack is carried out exceptionally well.
Yeah,
right. Because when I was a trainer at GPWA, I consider GPWA one of the best schools.
Oh, I did, right? For sure, mate.
So, like, what the system that they've been doing is, since the start, is you've got your beginners class, and you've got the middle class, and then you've got the advanced class, right? So, for each class, you've got 8 weeks. In that 8 weeks, then you need to, like, I believe it was 8 weeks for the beginners class. So that was your 8 week kind of program. You had to follow an 8 week program, and for the 2 months, right, you had to show the coaches that you are listening. You were taking on board everything that they were saying, everything that they were showing you in ring and out ring, right? Even fitness levels, you had to be in the gym, or if you were in training, the workout regime there, you had to follow it, you had to stick with it, you had to make sure that you were showing improvements, right? And the way that they're doing it now is, and the way they have been doing it for a long time, is brilliant, because it's a structured system. It's been in place for years. Everybody knows it. Even when people come in, it's no like they get it put in front of them and it's like they're afraid. It's like they take the time and they will walk through everything with everybody with time and care, right? Like the way I used to do things in GPWA was the same in beginners class, the middle class and advanced classes when I took them, especially when the beginners classes. Nobody would go on to the next bit until that one person gets through, right, and on to the next bit with everybody else, because the way I look at it, everybody's a team, everybody's a family, so nobody gets left behind. And I'm not saying that in the pure movie sense, right? Nobody gets left behind, but in my head it's like I've seen trainers, right, wrestling coaches that have literally don't take a fucking time with anybody, but they'll take their money, right?
Yeah,
So it's like, in my eyes, I would rather make sure that person, I would spend all night with that one person, and that whole group doesn't move until that one person moves. But there's people out there that will just go, right, mate, you done well. Right, guys, that's us on to the next thing. And that one person is now feeling, oh my God, I'm a fucking idiot. Right, I'm this and I'm that. Then him or her are then doubting herself, and they already want to leave. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's so fucking shit. And that's what some of these coaches out there don't realise. I'm not saying there's any coaches at GPWA that do that. I was just saying and talking. But it's like the way that GPWA have got everything structured, the way they work is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Well, it's just because that's the reason why I said that is because, like you're saying, in terms of the future of wrestling, you want to have it more, inclusive in that sense of letting everybody know that as a team. And see, even the way you're talking about that there, I'm thinking to myself, well, that can apply to anything in life.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely, it can.
Because that person if you by encouraging that person, that could make the next John Cena or something. Do you know what I mean? It's like
exactly, and that's the thing.
You never know.
You never know what hidden talents people could have. Mm-hmm. And you're right in what you're saying there. You never ever know. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I think there's like a high percentage of people out there in the world right now that have grown up that probably still still have talents like in art, football, tennis, wallpapering, painting the flares, or what, you name it, anything. I think there's a high percentage of people that are still got talents out there and they can still do stuff. But it's a shame because they feel like they can't do things because it's like I'll either get laughed at or I don't want to do it, and then nobody gives me like the time and the consideration,
support.
Support. Do you know what I mean? And it's like I just want to give somebody a cuddle and just go, here mate, or here hen, go and do it. Fuck all these cunts. Do you know what I mean? Like, go and do it.
Honestly, mate, that's amazing because it just takes, and I can speak from my experience as well. That one person encouraging you and just saying you can do this can make such a world of difference. Man.
Aye, can make a spark under somebody's arse, and that's a fire lit. Do you know what I mean? Because
especially like from my perspective, being in a wheelchair, like so many people were so quick to tell you everything you couldn't do, right?
Aye.
So if it, just whenever somebody took the time to say to actually give you a bit of encouragement, it was always like a really big. Sometimes you don't realise how much somebody's struggling with something.
That's right. Aye.
And how much of a difference it can make.
Aye, absolutely. Like, people are always too busy to put people down because either can't be asked for them or can't be asked, like, can I help them through things or what? Do you know what I mean? And it's shite. It's shite because at one point somebody's helped them through their life. Do you know what I mean? So this is what a lot of people need to take into consideration with some things.
Yeah.
But aye, other than that, like the training aspect of it, aye, like, got everything covered on it. That was aye.
Well, you just talked about how everybody's always had somebody to help them through something, right?
Yeah.
And you were saying how a lot of what you've been through is you were bullied and things, and that was where the anger kind of came from. Is people, you always felt like people were sort of taking the piss out of you and stuff, and
yeah,
I can really relate to that as well. But who, what was it that helped you through that time?
Like through that time, oh God, it was Arnold Schwarzenegger actually. Believe it or not, Arnold Schwarzenegger helped me through that. I was 11-year-old and something bad happened to me. A really tough instant. So I was in York Kills Children's Hospital. So I'd come out, and it was like just like I had a bit of a head injury and stuff. So it was like my memory wasn't really working, and from there I was like getting told like the best way to kind of re-heal the process and rehab is anything that you want to do, anything you and this is before wrestling obviously, sort of like anything you want to do, like do it, right? So I was like, right, okay, no bother. So it was like, came out and I was sitting with my brother John, Martin, my mum and dad. This is the first time that I'd ever seen Predator, right? So major Dutch Schaefer, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the music, right? The fucking everybody gets off this plane, man. Well, this helicopter, sorry. And you just see the big guy in the back, man, smoking a stogie. He's like, and it just obviously the redness off a cigar lights up everything, right? And then he flings the bag out, and it's like you just this big muscly guy, and I'm sitting looking at the telly, right? A wee guy, bandage on my head and everything, right? And I'm looking at this guy going, who the fuck's that? And I'm like, my brother John, who is this? My brother's like, Arnold Schwarzenegger, mate. Like, what? So it was like through the movie, and then what I took away from that movie and how he became my idol was this was like a mercenary team, the baddest of the baddest, the best of the best, right? And it was like they've came across this threat that even made them scared and feared, right? Mm-hmm. But they ran away from it, right? They kept running away. Some of them were killed off, blah, blah, blah. But this guy, what made him my idol, made me who I'm of the day. And where I've been and what I've achieved was because this guy, eventually at the end of the movie, just like knew its way and like hunting, like its game that it was playing, right? And how to defeat it. And he stood up to this fucking alien that was bigger than him in all aspects. And then he killed the alien. He killed the Predator. And I was like, instantly, I was like, honestly, I was like to my mum, my dad, my brothers, I was like, stood up and I went, I'm going to be an actor. I might be like him. And they were like, right, David, calm down for you pass out, man, with excitement. And I was like, no, I'm going to, and then obviously knew that. And one of the things that I want to do, I've got a lot of things that I want to do actually, but one of them that if I could do it, I would literally just go to my deathbed, right? It'd be to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger and shake his hand and just tell him thank you. That would be it. Seriously, that would make my day, man.
It's really incredible because sometimes it all just the timing and everything really works out, and that story obviously resonates with you because you're going through a lot of tough times and you're facing. It's very similar to what you were obviously facing in your real life, and so it connected with you in a way that made a big difference and showed you that you could overcome that as well. So
absolutely, yeah.
It's amazing to me how things can all just come together like that at the right time and just change somebody's life. I hope that comes to you with him.
Oh, mate, cheers, my man.
It would be amazing to see that. Like, see, we'll get him tagged.
I think I would just be like that.
Mate, honestly, like, I would get chills listening to you tell that story there. I was like, that's amazing.
Oh, mate, honestly, man, I was looking up the Arnold Sports Festival thing that's coming to UK. So I paid what is it? Quarter, about maybe half of the money for the ticket already, but it's the actual VIP package where you meet them and all that. So I'm like, I'm like, here we go. Hope it happens. So if it does, then I'll be on my way to meet him. Aye.
Oh man, you need to be recording that.
Oh mate, I'm going to be recording that. I'm going to be like to somebody, I'm like, here mate, record that man secretly. I'll be like, hello Mr. Schwarzenegger, I'm pure baffled to meet you.
We're sitting with a smoke for
Aye, but hello, come on, get through chopper.
Oh, brilliant! It's honestly brilliant. Obviously you talked about wanting to do a lot of different things. One of the things you did do, which I thought was really interesting, was you were actually on Take Me Out. Was that?
Aye.
And so that was, I seen a clip of that and I thought, how did that come about, mate? Like, you've been to Take Me Out?
Back when I was on Take Me Out, I was 18 years old, right?
18, mate, that's right.
And
you're 50 now, so that's
I was 50 when I started, mate. Aye, so
no, I'm saying you're 50 now. You're 50 now.
Oh, I'm 50 now. All right, aye. Oh, it was a long time ago. Aye.
Another age joke there.
Aye. So I was obviously 18 there when I done it. But I was I was a buff butler at the time, right? So obviously at this point it was like Marty Scannell had been on Take Me Out, right? So I was like watching it and I'm like, all right. But the other part of me, right, it was like every time that I watched Take Me Out, right, see everybody that was coming down the lift, I'd be like, I loved it, man, right? I was like, look at this absolute dick, right, coming down the lift, right? They were coming down the lift and I was like, asshole, right? Or if they were getting a blanket, I'd be standing up going, all by myself, right? I used to ham it up, right? So then, boom, I went buff buttering, right? The application forms have come in. And I'm like, at this point, it was like, I've not really done anything. The next step for me, I thought that could evolve my career was like my first TV thing. And this was my first TV thing, right? So I was like, right, okay, let's go and do it. So I went and done it. Boom. They came back. Right, you've got an interview at the Novotel, just at just off Sucky Hill Street. So I was like, right, okay. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, right, okay, get the 3-piece suit on, clean shave the head, clean shave the face, right? I looked like I was going to court, right? Honestly, I looked like I was going to a high court, right? And I fucking, honest to God, mate, I thought up and I'm like, hello there, I'm like, Mr. Coyle, yeah, I'm here for Take Me Out. But they've obviously looked at me going like that, fan Dan, man, right? Up there, first flare, sir, right? So I went up the first flare and this lassie's like kind of showed me this big boardroom. I've walked into this boardroom and it was just guys that were like Greek gods, man, chiseled, long blonde hair, brown, and I'm standing looking like an absolute junkie, right? Honestly, I'm standing in a 3-piece suit for slaters, right? Skinhead, chalk white. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, fuck me, I'm not getting this. I mean, I'm not getting this whatsoever. All these guys wearing Father Sons t-shirts, and I'm like, oh no, right? Who was the first dick in? Me, I was. right? So I've just went in and I went, right, I'm Davey Blaze. This is what I had it in my head. So I went into character and I went, I'm Davey Blaze. Let's go. Let's ham this right up. So it was like, they were doing like the imaginary, like coming down the lift. So I was like, they were like, right, what tune do you want to play? And I said, is it all right if I can hum it? And they were like, right, aye, go for it. So I was like, do. Right, and the guy went like, right, stop right here, mate. He went, what is that you're humming? And I went, what this way? And he went, the guy just started laughing. He went, do you want us to actually put it on our phones? And I went, that would be a lot better, yes. So the guys went like that, right, no bother. So he's put on Walk This Way and it's like, Walk This Way. I'm like, ow, Walk This Way. Right. Just coming out of the lift, man, doing the moonwalk and all that. Oh, mate, what an atmosphere, right? So, fucking boom. Eventually, I'm away, right? So the guy's like that to me, we'll phone you back, we'll let you know what the script is. So, I think it was like, a month later, I'm in the shop with my ma, she's like in this woman's shop, right? And my phone goes. Now, at this point, I don't know what shortlisted means, right? So, the phone goes, and I'm like, hello. And he's like, hello, this is Dan, such and such from ITV. Hello, Dan. I went, yes. I went, David Coyle speaking. He went, I've already know that. He went, you just said that to me on the phone. I went, all right. I went, sorry, I'm just excited. And he went, right, you've been shortlisted down to 4 people. And I swear to God, mate, I went like that. I mean, I'm absolutely so sorry to hear that, Dan. I went, maybe next year. And he went, do you know what shortlisted means? And I went, no. And he went, you're through. And I was like, it's like, man, I'm through. I'm going on, take me out. Aye, so didn't have a fucking clue what shortlisted means. Knew that a day. So if I ever get shortlisted on something, I know I'm through.
Oh, what a sort we should just send that out.
Aye, we should just send it away. Go, any applications out there, let's go.
Aye, I'll get me on, take me out. No, but I couldn't even produce half of what you just said there, man. But the actual, so you went on, take me out, and you got a date?
I got a date.
You got a date? How did that go?
Mate, it was brilliant, mate. Paddy McGuinness, I just want to say this, Paddy McGuinness, absolute boy. Absolute boy, mate. He's the best thing ever. Like, I've always learned this in wrestling, right? It was like, see if you look at somebody on the TV or a movie, right? And they come across well, they come across funny, right? And you're like, I hope if I ever meet that guy in real life, he's no a dick, right? So in my head, because of how funny, and like, seriously how funny and how cool Paddy McGuinness was on telly, like Max and Paddy, Phoenix Nights and all that, I was like, I hope he's not a dick. I hope, because it'll kill me. It'll kill me. And I was like, me and the boys are all standing in like the kind of green room, right? In ITV studios, and Paddy McGuinness comes walking in, he's got the full fucking suit on that on. Right? He's like, all right, boys. He's like, what's happening? And instantly I'm like, yes. Right? I'm like, Paddy, I'm like, yes. And he's like, okay, he's like, what do you say? No like it? No, and I was like, no like it. I was fucking loving it, man, right? I was pure G'd up, man. I was like, Paddy. He's like, that's plenty, right? I was like, but he's fucking, honestly, mate, what an experience, man. But we got the date. So I flew off, right? And this is so weird, right? Because see how on this holiday, see when I was away there flying out to Las Americas in Tenerife out there, right? This was it. Now wrap your head around this. This was the same weekend the Clufa accident happened and Paul Walker for Fast and Furious died.
What?
Aye.
That is mental.
Mate,
it must have been chaos.
Mate, I was signing out my hotel seat to fly to Tenerife. I was signing out the hotel, right? And it was, I'm obviously signing down like this, but it was like the telly above me. It was like breaking news, helicopter crash in Glasgow. And one of the other 4 boys, he was like to me, he says, Davey, is that what you're for? And I looked up, man, I don't know, I was going to say Iceland on the telly or something. I went, no, I'm going for Iceland, mate. But it was like Glasgow, man, this helicopter hanging out the cliff, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, fuck me. And then, obviously, when I was there filming the date with her, when we were on the docks, got to do, what is it, paragliding or something? And the director goes like that, are you into all your fast motors and all that, like? And I went, aye. And he went, oh, Paul Walker just died. And I went, oh, that's took a turn for the worst, huh? Oh, fuck it, man. Like, God, man. God. Some things I don't even know what I'm saying. Took a turn for the worst. God. Oh, Christ. Oh, it still gets me every day. Yeah. God. Aye, so the date, I met there on the date, right? So we go to fucking Fernando's, right? And I'm in this big fancy hotel, but the guy gives me like my running order for the morrow, and I got told we had a free bar. Never tell a Scotsman that you've got a free bar somewhere, right? Because instantly the plans for the next day are getting patched, right? So the guy started hitting it with fucking, oh, you, Mr. Coyle, you're up at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I went, so am I, wee man. I went, I'm going to that bar up there. I went, there's nothing that you can do about it. End of. And he went, we'll be doing it at your meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I went, sound. I'll still be in my bed at 8 in the morning. So he's went up. Well, I went up to the bar. Me and the boys off. That was it. Jaeger bombers. It was like fucking, aye, what a night. So the 8 o'clock in the morning comes, right? Bang, bang. I'm like, this better not be this guy, man. I've got bloodshot eyes and everything, mate, right? Eyes in the pistol. I've got eyes like whole fucking holes in the pistol. I don't even know what they're saying, man. Ugh. But anyway, so the wee guy, I open the door and the wee guy's like that. Oh, hello, he's like that. And I'm standing in the buff, right? So he's like, cut. And I'm like, right, mate, what, a pure hog in a drink, right? And he's like, I told you they were going to be filming at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I went, right, mate, I says, you need to let me get ready. I went, go to turn that light off. I thought it was the light on the camera. It wasn't, it was a fucking light out in the hall, right? He's like, man, just go and get yourself sorted out. So I was in the toilet, obviously freshening myself right up, man, right? So on this show, I had obviously long hair, nothing like that, but long hair, right? So I had it all combed there and down to the sides. I looked like a pure dick, right? So we're doing an interview thing, right? Now this lassie, right, on the YouTube clip, right, the lassie that goes like that, oh, I've always wanted to go to the wrestling shows and go, that's my boyfriend with the big muscles. She's got the glasses and the short back and sided noogie, short at the top, right? Alright. So they're interviewing me, right, outside and all like that. So what made you pick her then? And this was exactly what I said, mate, right? Nothing else after it. I went, she's got a cracking short back and size, short at the top. And I swear to God, it kills me to this day, mate, right? And it fucking, the guy was just like, right, anything else? And I went, no. And that was it, mate. Like, and on the date was a success, and that was that experience. But it was a good time, I must say. Aye,
sounds like a good time, man. I don't even know what to say anymore. Like, I feel like laughing too much here, man.
Mate, it was mental, mate. Absolutely mental. So it was. Aye. Shot bangs. Well, I'll tell you when I'm off.
Well, speaking of shagging,
shagging.
You're going to be a dad, I heard.
Aye. There'll be no shagging again. Aye, no, I'm going to be a dad. So the wee man, he's due between the 16th and the 19th of September. So there'll be two Davey Blazes running about. It'll be, like the fucking Legion of Doom. So
it wasn't well enough before it's going to be.
Aye, if he wasn't blazing then, he'll be blazing now. Aye.
That must be really exciting, man.
Oh, mate, I'm buzzing. I'm absolutely buzzing, man. This will be, like, my dad was saying to me, he was like, my dad and my brothers were saying to me, like, there's no better job than being a dad. Like, and I was, obviously, I'm sitting there and I'm shiting myself, right? And I'm sitting there going like that, right, sound, right, leave me alone, let me process this, calm it down. And then obviously, see now, I'm like, I've got a Dr. Evil and Mini-Me costume up in the cupboard now for Halloween. Obviously, he's here in September. We're going to go like that. Heal Mini-Me, come on, yeah, come on, get it. Like that. And I've like, it's just the two of us. We can make it if we can.
Oh, man. So he's going to be somebody.
Oh, yes. Oh, you'll have the best eye in the world, man. Best eye ever. Go and stick that kettle on. See when he's 5. Hot kettle and all that, man. Oh, kidding on. No, absolutely. I'm kidding on.
But no, it's. I'm really happy for you, man. I seen that the other day. I thought I had to mention that. It's a life-changing thing, and
it is. It's life-changing, and it'll be the best thing ever, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's just, it'll be one of the things. It's like it'll just open like a new door for you. And it'll just change your life completely, man. I'm buzzing for it. I can't wait.
No wonder, man. There's so many things I want to touch on here, but I've been laughing so much that I feel trying to think of where to go next for this, right? Because God knows what you're going to say to me.
I know.
But it's great. No, so back to wrestling a wee bit, right? I was looking at your career a wee bit, and it was interesting to me that you were very much, you've kind of become known as a tag team, quite a successful tag team wrestler.
Yes.
You won you were. I read that you were the youngest wrestler to win the Triple Crown tag team.
Yes.
In 3 different promotions. With 3 different tag team partners as well, which is quite.
Well, it was two different tag team partners, because one was with Chris Rampage.
Oh, right.
Me and Chris Rampage had the BCW belt and the PW belt, and the other one was with Stevie Boy. And me and him had the ICW belt. But that accolade has been done after me with a few other people, like BT Gunn and stuff. But I was the first person to do it, and I didn't even know I'd done it. Right? I took the Get to the Chopper show that me and Stevie done, continued the 2.5 year feud with STI. When they won the belts, we continued the feud for another 1.5 years, and that led us to Get to the Chopper, right? The event that was tributed to me, right? So it was like we won the belts there, and it was the ICW belt. Now I don't do this all the time, but I brought the BCW belt and the PW belt to that show, to the ICW show, just so I could get like the cool promo photo with all 3 tag belts. Right, so it was like Kid Fight said to me, he was like, "You do know you're a Triple Crown tag team champion?" And I went, "The fuck is that?" And he was like, "You're the only wrestler in the UK, in Scotland, to hold all 3 major tag belts at the one time." And I'm standing there, I'm looking at the belts, and I went, "Yeah, you're fucking right, aye, so am I actually." I was like, "Ha ha!" I was like, "Whoa!" Right, fucking, I was like losing my shit. So that was when, obviously, like, it was a cool accolade, cool accomplishment. Like, I got the wee graphic made and stuff like that, and I put it online. But then obviously, like BT Gunn, what is it? Chris Renfrew, I think, stuff like that. I've done. I know Booty is definitely done it. Booty's also a Grand Slam champion as well. And I think Wolfie's a Grand Slam champion, or not? In ICW. So it's there's a few that I've done. Stevie's a Grand Slam champion.
I wonder why it was called Get to the Chopper, eh? Never know.
You never know, huh?
So that was all based around. That must have been a really cool moment for you, but.
Oh, it was class, mate. It was class. Like, what's the other one that I'm quite proud of doing? I'm the only British wrestler in the UK to open up 2 of the biggest shows in the last 40 years now, or maybe 43 years, since Big Daddy and Giant Haystacks main evented, and a sold out crowd.
It's amazing.
And that was the SECC and the Hydro. Nobody else has took it off me yet.
And they always say if you're not going to be last, you want to be first.
And that's it.
So
and I was first.
Just got the show off to the start. See,
that's it, mate.
You obviously done a lot. You talked about Grand Slam champions there, right? Was your goal always to be a tag team wrestler, or did it just sort of happen that way?
No, obviously at first my goal was I wanted to be a singles wrestler, right? So I was like, I mean, people thought when they were, well, I thought when I was coming through, like, oh no, I'm going to get fucking lumbered by a tag team guy and it's going to be shite and all this. But no, I was actually quite lucky because, like, until I got told about why I'm getting into tag team wrestling, and it wasn't like because we'll not get space for you on a show, it's because you're going to be differently, like, performing on a show, right? And you're going to become one that you can become, if you put your mind to it, one of the most potent things, like attraction on the show, right? And that's what me and Stevie have became. See the Bucky Boys? Me and Stevie were like fucking, and that's what we became, and that's what I love. And it's like, I love tag team wrestling, even though I can wrestle in singles matches quite well, right? But I love tag team wrestling because tag team wrestling, it's like, that's where I've kind of like cemented like my name, right? It's like everybody knows now that if I was to go into like a serious run with them in a tag team, like it's not just going to be like a throwaway thing. Like I'll actually, do you know what I mean? And we can go and do things like that. Was the thing with Joe Hendry. Like I actually led Joe Hendry to his first ever gold in ICW, and that was with Local Fire. And the Local Fire wasn't meant to happen. It wasn't meant to. So on Total Davey, the Local Fire, I brought that up legit, just taking the piss off the cuff, and it wasn't. And then when people came across it, they all thought, because obviously they thought that we were following scripts on the show, but the whole Total Davey thing was just off the cuff, right? And everybody was going after that. They were like, Local Fire, it needs to happen. So that was when Joe started learning me how to sing, and then going, right, okay, like we can do this. And then it was like, so we were doing the videos, we were doing the parodies of Bloodtown Gang, we were doing the parodies of fucking Biffy Clyro, the song Blue, and then obviously we opened up a Hydro, so it was pretty cool. Aye.
That's a bit, I mean, because I'm curious, like, in a way, because obviously that's where you've established it. And see, tag team wrestling as a whole, I think is one of the best, it's one of the most enjoyable things to watch as a wrestling fan. Like, especially now, I feel like it's kind of in a wee bit about, it's becoming more and more prevalent in today's product as a whole. Like, you look at the big wrestling companies, it seems like tag teams have become like really important to it. Like, if you look at like WWE, you've got the Usos and all that, and you get Young Bucks are smashing it over the AEW thing. You know? So
I know the Young Bucks are doing really, really well, aren't they?
I mean, they're arguably, at least in a discussion, to be the best team in the world right now, I'd say.
I'd probably say so as well, eh?
And they've 100%. Done that, and it's amazing because I think for the longest time it kind of became solely less important, and at some points just as the and I think that was mainly because of boxing, because it's all became this, you want this sort of one-on-one, you know, main event that you can book around, but do you forget that wrestling, once you actually embrace what wrestling is and everything that it can be,
you understand it.
Yeah, like, tag team wrestling is the bit of gold that I think people kind of overlook it sometimes, but I don't even know where that came from for me, but just pure wrestling geek knowledge coming out there. I was like,
mate, I would say, mate, I love tag team wrestling, man. Like, I think tag team wrestling is like to this day still underrated.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But like as you say, it's like the Young Bucks and stuff like that, like the stuff that they're doing, and like a few other tag teams are doing, like especially I like what is it? What's her name? God. Guerrillas of Destiny.
Yeah.
Tamatonga and that.
Yeah.
I quite like them, man. They're fucking, they're class, man. I love them, man. They are class. I would love, me and Stevie did speak about things like that, like, who would we love to face? So who was the favourite tag team that we want to face? But me and him have got so many that we would do. And God, Guerrillas of Destiny, I think we could fuck them right up. I'm putting out there, Tamatonga.
Well, that'll be a clip probably.
That's a wee clip for Tamatonga, mate. Get that right up.
We'll get them tweeted, mate. That will see what happens. Because it's amazing how much wrestling stuff can just happen online now.
Aye.
You know?
Everybody gets a response off it.
Aye,
if it happens. Aye, so.
I was trying to use it to get involved with, because I don't know if you've seen, I was clipping the stuff for Chris Bungard and the two Rangers guys.
Bungy, Chris is my boy, man.
Aye. He was on the podcast a while ago, and he was talking about obviously wanting to get involved in ICW wrestling, and they had a wee thing going on with I don't know if you've seen that kind of Rangers gimmick that's going on.
Aye.
With Jason and the coach.
Aye.
And he was just taking the piss out of the two of them, and then I had Jason on.
It got him and Paul. No, when I first turned my heel, when I first went heel in ICW, Dallas came up to me and he's like, "You've got a UFC star here," and I went, "What?" And he went, "Aye." He went, "You're going to be doing something with him," and I went, "Fuck off." I went, "So am I." I went, "What? I'm going to get a hole punched in my face." I went, "That will be right." And he went, "No." He went, "He's coming back to stage now." So in my head, I'm like, "No, this cunt's going to be massive, man." And he was Paul Craig. I'm pals with him now, right? Big Paul, but Paul, I was looking at him. I was like, "Oh no, man, it's going to leather me, man, right?" But mate, I swear to God, it was fucking brilliant, right? We got Paul in, and he came in like this kind of big enforcer, fucking it, because it was like I was like demolishing everybody at the time in ICW, bang, 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 right? And it was like, I can't even remember what it was, but Paul was like on the other side of the barrier, and I was fucking, I think I was beating up somebody in the ring, but I was like being a pure, I nailed it every time, and I was a nasty bastard. And the wee man was like, "Aye, so if anybody in the fucking crowd wants to go for it, then who wants it?" And there's big Paul Craig, he's like, "I fucking will, right?" So he jumps the railing, and obviously the big man's hyped right up, right? You know, there's a bit, man, McGee, we're going back and forth in the ring, right? And he grabs the wee man, and he turns back round, and I was like, it was my own fault, right? He didn't clock me, but I went, "Hit me with the forearm." Worst thing you could ever say to a UFC fighter, right? So he's just like mid-man, he's went, "Oh, wallop." You see me just going like that, falling right back, and I was like, "Oh my fucking God." I was like, "Wee man, you're on your own." I was like, I'm getting to fuck. But we done where Chris Bungard came in. Chris came in when we done the Barrier Mania 3 match. Me and the B-Man against Viper and DCT. But Paul Craig got brought in as the enforcer again in Hingy because I done the promo, and it got shown at the start of the show with me and Coach Trips' wee boy with the Easter egg, right? So Dallas told Big Sweeney like, "No mate, we're dads, we can't be having that shit, mate." So ladies and gentlemen, he says, "I phoned Dana White," and Dana White says, "Aye Martin, bother thee man, fuck's sake, you know, we've got a show tonight, but I'll send him here he is, Paul Craig." So Big Paul comes out and me man, like pure, but we've got Chris Bungard in the corner and like just at one of the barriers, so nobody knows. Everybody knows that they two train together, but nobody knew that Chris was going to heel turn and then like come onto my side. Yeah. So it was like, I take the baseball bat off wee man and I walk Paul into the corner, but then Chris Bungard slide in. So it's like Paul starts walking me back, and then me and the wee man bump into Chris. And then we're like, "Oh, please God, no, don't hit us." And then Chris walks round, man, and gives Paul the low blow. And I swear to God, man, see that fight that they two choreographed that night, man, like kind of bit like, and they were not fuck each other, man. I was in the corner going like that. Oh my God, I might put a line on this. A line each way.
Oh, because it's amazing how the two of them are really obviously into it, and it's like I remember actually watching that clip you're talking about, and you could see how much they put thought into it, and how,
aye.
So he is a bad guy, obviously. You should have seen that
Bungard's
coming.
my boy, man. Bungard's my boy.
Because it seems like there's a lot of it, maybe guys kind of.
Paul, you my boy. I know. Don't want them breaking in or that.
But you're talking about being a heel there, right? And I was curious, like, what did you prefer? Like, did you have a preference as to whether you wanted to be cheered or booed, or what was harder?
This was the thing. None of it was harder. None was hard as each other. Like, I've always been taught in wrestling, like, you need to learn how to play both. So you need to learn how to be heel, you need to learn how to be a good face, right? And if you can be a good heel and a good face when time calls for it, then that's what you call a fucking put together wrestler. Like you're fucking class, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, right, I went, cool. So with me, with the face stuff, like I can be a face in my sleep, I can be a bad guy in my sleep. But the bad guy stuff, I love it a wee bit more in the face, because it's like there's no many bad guys out there. There's no many heels out there. Good heels, right? Heels these days, and I can remember this is what Kurt Angle said to me, and I kid you not, Joe Coffey was in the same room when Kurt Angle said this to me, right? Kurt Angle says to me when I was wrestling Joe at the Hydro, I came backstage, went in his room, obviously asked him for some feedback and that, and Joe Coffey was like sitting on it, like in his room, sitting on the couch, and he's like, obviously I think at that time I was only 20, 23, 24 when they done the Hydro, right? So he couldn't believe my age, right? And he said to me, he went, do you know something? He went, it's not very likely that nowadays, he says, you get heels that come out and want the crowd to like them. He says, you'll never get a heel these days that comes out and wants the crowd to hate them, right? He says, you literally went out there, he says, and they fucking hated you. He says, and that's what I loved. He went, you're an old school heel. He went, you're just, he says, the way you were, he says, the way that you were moving and stuff like that and selling for Joe, he went, the storytelling, he says, was brilliant. I'm just looking at Joe Coffey going, is this actually happening? Like, and that was it was fucking brilliant, mate. Aye, Kurt Angle.
That must have been some compliment, by the way, to get that.
Oh, no, it was, mate. I was goosebumped and everything, man. I was fucking nearly greeting. And then, obviously, that later on that night, I went out and fucking saved the Polo Promotions, knowing their behalf. But there was like some incident that happened that Team 3D fucked up the finish or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But they never used any tables or something. And Dallas said to me, like, you need to go out and save this match. Like, you need to get put through a table off of Dudley's. And I went, aye, I'll get put through a table off of Dudley's. Fuck yes, right? So before the Dudleys had like walked out, I went into the room with Wee Man, and we were starting talking. And originally, I was wanting to take the Team 3D, right? The Bucky Boys move. So I was wanting to take the Team 3D up for the table, and I was literally going to post and just go like this, man, like a big cheeser in my face, like, yes, right? But then they were like, I think that I couldn't do it. And I was like, no, I can do it. I did the move, fuck's sake, with my tag team partner. And they were like, oh, we'll just power bombing you off the top. And I went, sound. I went, just put me through the table. And so they were like, right, aye, like, making sure. So they lifted me up, all that stuff. And then, and that was when you see me coming out later on that night in the Hydro, I get put through the table off Italy Boys. It was fucking class. I was
going to lead on to that, but you beat me to it.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm saying like Dudley Boys are like, especially for somebody in the tag teams, they're pretty much as good as it gets.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you've obviously done a lot of really cool things. Like,
aye,
even just, but when I was bringing up tag teams before, and how you got into that, part of me always wondered, like, you know, Stevie Boy and people you've been tag team partners with, did eventually have that kind of singles run.
Yeah.
Like Stevie Boy got the world title at some point, and
that's right.
And you know, part of me was wondering, like, was there ever a point where you were going to have that run for the world title, going to have a run for that singles belt, or did that just never materialise? I believe
that, and I still believe. I mean, I would like to be the ICW World Heavyweight Champion at some point, right? Mm-hmm. But the reason why I went away for 3 years. When I came back at ICW feeling loving, like just there, it was because I had a personal problem with Dallas. We had a big fallout, so it was like I left the company. I was like, fuck it, I'm leaving. Boom, so I left, and I didn't really. In the past, there's times where people have took a huff with ICW and they've went on and then opened their mouth, ran their mouth, and then on Twitter or online just to get likes or favourites. Mm-hmm. And I didn't, because one, it's did nothing to do with anybody's business. And what happens, see people that do that, they're just fucking idiots. Like, they're just attention seekers, right? So what happened, and I left. And there was no intention of me going back. I didn't want to go back, right? So basically what happened at that point was through the years, I was working, and me and Dallas were in contact. We met up, we sorted everything out, and then for there, like Dallas was saying to me, he was like, this doesn't mean you're coming back to ICW. And I went, no, I went, I don't want to come back now. I went, there's still a lot of things to fix it, kind of thing. And then for there, it was like, I think we go to my 26th birthday, and then Dallas phoned me and he was like, you're coming back to ICW. He went, don't tell anybody. He says the boys don't even know. He says you're coming back. I was like, fuck me. I went, alright. I went, when am I coming back? And he went, Fear and Loving. He went, first night. He went, you're going to be saving Grado. So I went, right. I went, cool. I went, now how the fuck am I going to get into the venue? And he went, good idea. He went, I'll get back to you. So he phoned me and he was like, Crowbar's going to sneak you in his motor. And I went, alright. And it was just fucking Mickey Member in the back of Crowbar's motor. Jake, it's not that oil me. And we got in, and I've still got the photo on my phone of the backstage pop by the boys. Like, I walked in and all the boys were like, the fuck good in here? And I was like, I'm returning tonight. And that was me, boom. I returned, didn't save one Grado, went into the storyline with Davey, and it was class. Fucking what a feeling. Like, nobody knew I was coming back, like nothing. And it was like, that pop was fucking crazy, man.
That has got to be, surely, when you look at your wrestling, when you go up being a wrestling fan and you want to be wrestling, having that surprise comeback has always got to be one of the, must-have type of situations there. Like,
it's
like
like,
that kind of stage.
you want to have it on your CV, like, I've done the big comeback return.
Yeah, exactly. Because, I mean, what you said there about, not talking shit about people and having that kind of respect, even though you obviously had beef and things like that, there's a lot of loyalty in that, despite having, you know what I mean? And because you were one of the ICW originals.
Yeah, aye.
And part
still
of
am, mate, aye. Still am, mate, aye.
So you were part of that crew that brought everything up. And it's interesting you say that, because that was really where I was coming from as I was researching it, thinking, he was there at the start. All these other guys had that run, and to me, you had a close relationship with Dallas through it. So I just always wondered how you not had that run, so to speak.
See, I always get told. I get told a big thing off Dallas years and years ago, like my early stages are coming through, and Dallas said to me, he was like, "Oh, you're wrestling." Put it this way, see your life. He says, in your wrestling career, he says, don't rush it. He went, treat it like a marathon. He went, a marathon, you can go at your own pace. He went, everything will come to you in time. He went, the minute you cross that finish line, he says, that's when things start coming to you. He says, so just take things day by day, by your own time. He says, just because one person gets something, doesn't mean you need to have it. And then that's when it all started clicking into me, and I was like, fucking, that's so true. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So it's like, with me, like, even, like, no, I'm Stevie and that done exceptionally well. When they were, they're still, I know I'm still the champion. Stevie done it twice. But he was like twice the ICW World Heavyweight Champion. Fucking absolutely stormed it, man. Do you know what I mean? No, I'm storming it. So it was like, I firmly believe that the time will come. It's just, when your time comes, that's when your time's meant to be. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like it's never going to happen. Yeah, it could never happen, but doesn't mean that you're no one of the best.
It doesn't have to happen.
Exactly. But if it happens, it happens. Aye. You see, if it didn't happen, I would rather chase up more tag belts, more belts, something being a 0G champion. Yeah. But you never know. Like, you could end up being the ICW World Heavyweight Champion one day. but it's all just your time. Your time will come.
Especially in wrestling, it's all about the timing and how things go with the fans and stuff.
That's it. Timing.
Exactly. We'll see. Even as you're saying that, I'm thinking, well, like, first of all, it was a curiosity point, but also, like, when you're saying that you feel like you've been in wrestling for a long time, you're saying how it's a marathon, not a sprint. How do you feel now? How do you feel like there's still a lot more for you to do, and do you feel that you're ready to really?
I'm only 27 years old, right? But
Which
it's
is mad when you think about it, considering how long you've been doing this.
Exactly, man. Right.
So, look at Ric Flair, mate. You know what I mean? You could go on. You could be doing this till about 60.
I do firmly believe that there is still a massive amount for me to accomplish.
See, to be fair, I can't believe you're only 27, man.
I know.
Like, not by.
I do look a bit 50, don't I?
See, it's genuinely not even based on how you look, just based on the fact that you've done so much stuff, man. For 27, I know people at 27. There's people at 27 that just have, are still trying to figure themselves out, and you're like,
I know guys that are 27 that don't even know how to wipe their arse properly, man. It's fucking honestly, mate.
Exactly. I'm 24 and I'm one of those guys. So you tell me.
God.
So.
Oh my God. I regret saying that now, man.
No, it's alright. It's alright. I just want to say for the record that I can, in fact, wipe my arse just in case it was a joke, right? It wasn't real. I'm just saying it was a work, mate. That's it.
It's a rib, mate. It's a rib.
But anyway, so like you said that you've got a lot of goals in your head, and we talked about a couple of them, but what are the things that are standing out to you just now that are making you drive on and go, this is what I want to do for the next, however many years?
Well, I've got a big important thing coming up in Dubai soon. Can't really say too much about it, but I've got this coming up in Dubai. So I'm definitely going to be going out to Dubai soon when it's safe to travel to do so and wrestling out there. But then other than that, obviously, like when my kid is born, like know that I wasn't motivated or had to drive, but it's like my motivation and my drive now is like fucking like Dragon Ball Z level, like just shitting through the roof. Like I want to do the best the best example ever for him, and basically like just so he can grow up and like just kind of say and look at me and go, if there's anything that I want to be, no matter what it is, like my dad's went and done this, and people said to him back in his day that he wasn't going to be it. So I want to set the best, highest example for him, and I just want to be the best star ever. I want to be the best wrestler ever, and it's just all these things. It's, as I was saying to you, this all comes in time, and that's it. So it's like just setting the best example ever, mate, for anybody.
I mean, you can tell that there's plenty more to come for you, man. Like, I could talk to you all day. There's so many things going through my head, like quick fire questions in my mind. I was like, who was your favourite wrestler growing up?
You've got Ric Flair,
of course,
right? The Rock, Batista, Triple H, and Stone Cold.
To be fair, that's a strong list. It's not got my goat on it, which is Shawn Michaels.
Aye.
Shawn Michaels is my one, but like, see, did you have to, when you were looking at those as your favourite wrestlers, right? Did you ever take it in from them in terms of like the way that you approach it?
Aye, like there was things that I took from. I was just wee things that I took for each of them, but it wasn't like a lot of things. It was just like individually things, right? And it was like obviously with Ric Flair, it was like the guy is like one of the most famous wrestlers ever, right? And it's like he's lived the lifestyle and he's lost things, right? And to me, I took for that, it's like it doesn't matter how high up you're on the ladder, you're always going to slip and fall off. Doesn't mean you can't climb back up, but right? Obviously, with like Batista, it was like the same kind of thing. Like obviously now he's in Hollywood, The Rock's in Hollywood. So they two are basically in the same. Like there was people that put them down, like thought they were ever going to be anything, and then now they're fucking. I know that The Rock's the highest paid guy in Hollywood now, but Bautista is doing certainly exceptionally well as well. Like the Marvel fucking cinematic universe and all this. Do you know what I mean? Like he's now becoming like one of the biggest names in Hollywood. Do you know what I mean? And obviously like Triple H, the guy's been just had the blinders on since day one in his WCW career. Like you're listening to a lot of people stuck by William Regal. William Regal was his mentor. William Regal led him to the heights, and now the guy's fucking taking L at one of the biggest global companies in the world. And that's sort of because he trusts people. He sensed that he knew that he had to be there. Do you know what I mean? And he showed everybody, boom, and another person that showed people that, fuck you, I'm going to do it. Like, just don't try and fuck with my shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, just because you are not going anywhere, don't try and drag me to me. And Triple H, Paul Levesque, he went and done it. And look where he is. And it's just it's crazy, man. It's just like when you get older, it's like you're thinking and you're putting. It's like you're still putting the puzzle together when you're getting older. You never stop. Every day's a learning day. Do you know what I mean? And it's like there's the smallest wee things you take into consideration, you put it into the puzzle, and it makes more sense to you. Do you know what I mean? And it's like
for sure, definitely.
It's just incredible, man.
It's really interesting to me that when I ask that question in my head, I'm thinking he's going to reply with things about them as a wrestler, but that was more so like life lessons he took for them.
Aye,
life
lessons,
which I think is really interesting because wrestling's kind of renowned behind the scenes for being very political. So to take those things for them and to take it and go, I'm going to use these and realise that this is the way you want to conduct yourself as a person.
Aye,
so
because if you this is the thing, right? You can only go so far in the world as a child. Right? To go further on in the world, you need to be an adult. Because an adult is where you make new business ties, acquaintances, friends, right? And relationships, business and personal, right? And it's your journey will also stop if you don't mature. If you fucking don't mature up and earn your shit, then you're not going to go anywhere. Do you know what I mean? And it's all life is a tough game. Life is tougher than Russian roulette, 21 or blackjack. It's the hardest game out. Nobody knows how to play it because everybody sits at a table and they can leave. The table's always hot, but then it gets cold. So it fucks you a bit, but you just need to be dealt. You just need to play the cards you're dealt with. The hand you're dealt with, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Well, that's the way I've always seen things.
Mate, see, for somebody that's made me laugh so much at this, that was really profound that you just said that.
Mate, I'm an entrepreneur, mate.
See, I mean, this guy's amazing. You want to come on every week?
I'll come on every week, mate. Yeah, I'm here all weekend.
No, honestly, mate, I could talk to you all day. And how long have we went for, mate? 125.
That's fucking class.
I feel like it's flew by, man.
Hello, man. There we go.
No, but listen, I think this has been one of my favourites for sure. But I don't want to. I will say this: I can't end this without stating the fact that I want to do something in wrestling. Anyone watching this that wants me to do something in wrestling, I'll do anything you want. I said this to Mark Dallas, right? I said to him when he came to the gym, I was like, I swear to God, mate, I will do anything you ask me to do. I will jump off a table I will jump off a Hell in a Cell to a table that's on fire. Do you know what I mean? Like, come on. Because the thing is, right, is see, as mean as that sounds, I used to watch wrestling, right, and I used to just I still watch it to this day, and it was just one of those things where it was probably my first love was wrestling. To be fair, it was just the first thing that I got into, and I just remember watching it, and there was never. I pure wanted to do it, man. I pure wanted to be involved in it, but there was just never any sign of anybody in a wheelchair being part of it. And throughout this whole podcast, there's plenty of podcasts that people just talk about, right? But I feel like the podcast has a meaning of showcasing somebody's ability, and that's why it's called All About Ability. And for me, watching wrestling as I was younger, or even playing football and not seeing representation for anybody who had a disability. it was very much down, like you never had it to aspire to be.
Aye.
You could never really dream of being in. And now we're in this place where you can have a platform, you can talk about these things, and it's like one of the things that I just remember thinking was everybody would tell me, shut up, Keaton. There's no point in you even thinking about that because you're never going to be part of any of that. And one of the things that really gets me a bit is I think the reason why I'm so desperate to do some sort of crazy shit with it is just because it would just be like nobody ever thought I would do anything like that. Do you know what I mean? Nobody ever thought I'd be doing something like this. I remember when I was younger, they used to be like, well, he's not going to talk very well. Aye. And I've mentioned this a few times privately and on the podcast that because of that, I'm always like overthinking. If I'm mumbly, thinking it's part of the cerebral palsy or something, but it's not actual. It's just me being mumbly. Do you know what I mean?
Mate, who gives a fuck?
Aye, but I'm saying,
see as long as you're comfortable in yourself.
Aye,
that's what matters, mate.
All I'm trying to say is that I swear to God, mate, if you give me a microphone or wrestling ring, I will blow people away. I will blow people away.
You can be my manager, mate. You can be my manager.
See the V-Man.
Never say never in anything you want to do.
I'll put this out there. The V-Man ain't shit, mate. I'll take it.
V-Man, he's coming for you.
I tell you, because the thing is, right, I might be in a wheelchair, but my arms are bigger than his whole body, so let's do it.
That's it. Just put him in a sleeper hold, man. Take his heart right off him.
Because it's just, because I think, like, see now the place that we're in, right, is in the world, we need to be able to, not necessarily me, right, I'm taking myself out of it. It's just trying to showcase that there's different abilities out there, and I'm in a wheelchair, but we've spoke this whole time, and that's never even come into the discussion. And that's what I'm saying is, the way you break down that barrier is by showing people that we exist and we can do these things.
Absolutely, mate.
I spoke to, do you know who Aiden English is? He was in WWE.
Aiden English?
He was part of the vaudeville, the Vaudevillains, and he was with Rusev for Rusev Day.
Oh, right, aye.
That whole, so he actually had him on the podcast months ago through Zoom, and he was telling this story about his pal with, his pal had I think it was cerebral palsy, and he was in a wheelchair, and it was like they got him down for an indie show or something like that, and he was his manager, and he took a lump and all that, and people were like, "What the fuck's going on here?" So I was like, man, honestly, I'm like that. I said to Dallas, Dallas was like, don't say something like that to me, can I book it? And I was like, I can book it, mate, get it booked today.
Aye.
I was like,
no, Dallas says he type, mate, that he will right, mate, boom, you want to do it? Mate. Something off a steel cage, right? Like, honestly, mate.
And do you know what? Like, people are probably listening to this thing, like, he's got to be joking. Surely he's joking, but I swear to God, I'm not joking. I would actually do it. I would do it tomorrow. And so, I just wanted to fucking mention that because... Anyways, in case I want
to imagine I got you on, right, and you were like my manager,
mate,
and I done the fucking heel turn on you and ISW, and I just picked you up like Scott Hall, mate, and flung you through a table.
See, that would be just my, like, off my bucket list, mate. That's
just flying through the air like that. Yes!
That's exactly what I'd be like. I'd be like, like, everyone would be like, why is he not selling this? He's pure celebrating.
You're just lying there through the table like, I fucking done it. Yes.
Because one of the things I think is quite interesting about it, right, is, and I don't know what you think about this, is seeing wrestling, the thing that everybody worries about the most, I would imagine that the wrestler is just no noise, so like no heat.
Oh, it's the worst, man. Aye. I mean, it's happened to me several times, right, where I've been on, Paddy, where I've been on matches, but it isn't anything, it's on my behalf. This is like what happens in wrestling, right, and it's part and parcel of things. It's like people will fucking think that fans just make noise because they want to make noise, and it isn't. You need to know smartly how to get the fans involved, right? Because the fans are no idiots, they're no sheep, they're not just going to follow you with grass in their mouth, right? So it's like you need to let them know that you need to tell a story with your body, you need to tell a story with your face, you need to sell this. See this? You need to sell this, right? So if you're not making the effort to get them involved, support you, boo the heel, right? Then if you're not making the effort, then why should they make the effort? Exactly. End off, right? And I can remember there's times that I've been getting heat to guys, and I'm like, want to fucking work the crowd, and I'm like, bang, I'm like, and they're just fucking, and you're like, oh, you're an absolute dick. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you're just like that. Like, fuck you, man. Like, you're just fucked it. Do you know what I mean? And it's
a dance, isn't it?
Aye, it's like you need to get the crowd involved. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, so you're saying as you're wrestling people, sometimes you're like trying to get the most important thing is to work the crowd.
Aye,
and
because if you can't, two people right in the wrestling ring, the heel and the face, right, they need to work together.
Take notes of this, man.
Aye, they need to work together, right, to make the match a fucking incredible, right? Now, every time I wrestle, I go out there and I want to have the match tonight. So I'm workhorsing it, right? But if I go out there with a guy, right, who's a face, and he's not doing his job as a face and getting the crowd in to give him sympathy and be there for him, then I need to do my job and his job.
Aye.
Right? So I need to do his job and try and get him sympathy in the crowd there for him while I'm being a dick and I'm beating him down. And it's sometimes I can do it.
Yeah.
And there's other times that I can't, because I'm no fucking Superman, let's face it. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's all part and parcel of professional wrestling. It's like EastEnders. It's entertainment, right? So it's like you've got your villains, you've got your faces in EastEnders. They know how to get the crowd in. They know how to get the crowd interactive. They know how to go, right, I'm going to watch this dick next week and he's going to get hit with a taxi. I'm in it, right?
Aye.
I'm not seeing people get hit with taxis in the ring, right? But it's like, it's frustrating because it's like, people don't understand. I think they can just walk into a wrestling ring and it's like everybody's going to be there and they don't need to do anything. You're like, no, wake up and smell the coffee. You need to work. This is, but it's called being a worker. Do you know what I mean? So,
aye, because you're kind of having to carry both ends, and it makes it really difficult dynamic. So, so it's, I guess that's why the best feuds in the history of wrestling have always been when there's two major stars doing the right stuff. Like,
but that's the thing. It doesn't even need to be two major stars doing the right stuff. It's as long as you've got the chemistry and you click with somebody.
Yeah.
And you know the basics and the justs of what you're going to do, right? Heel and face. The match can be just as better as two legends or two people that are big stars putting on the same match. Do you know what I mean? It's just the understanding of working. It's like knowledge. You need to understand. It's like, remember what I was saying earlier on. Like, you need to. Like, I always go back and then look at things. I do my homework and understand the trade and what I do, my profession. That's just like more or less the same kind of answer. It's like, you need to look back, you need to do your homework, because I still watch matches nowadays, doing my homework, learning how I can work better ways, interacting with the crowd, like all these small things, because everybody thinks about the bigger things, like, oh, I need to do this big massive flippy move, or this sequence that looks like a ballerina dance, but it's like, no, you look at the smaller things, you take the smaller things away from it, and the smaller things become bigger things, because they've never been seen before. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's just the way I think and the way that I focus everything and put into my career is just all from being smaller things, and it's turned out to be massive.
I would say that's some really good advice for any young wrestler listening to this, is take that kind of advice.
Absolutely.
Aye. So, mate, honestly, amazing. And do you know something? I wanted to finish on this question, because when you were talking about the bullying and stuff earlier, right? That's something that everybody kind of really struggles with. And what would be your piece of advice to somebody going through that and struggling with that just now, if they don't land on Arnold Schwarzenegger's movies? Do you know what I mean?
Well, in a nutshell, this is what I'm going to say. If there's anything that you want to do, it doesn't matter if it's a bin man, a school teacher, a cleaner, right? If it's something that you really want to do and you're getting shit for it, do it, right? Because the only person that can make you happy is yourself, right? I get told this famous saying, right? And the saying goes like this: if you aim for the moon and get shot out of a cannon, if you don't land in the moon, where do you land? Amongst the stars. There's no better place to be. And that's where I'll end it off.
And that's a wrap, mate. Thank you so much for that. Brilliant.
Thanks very much for having me, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Anytime at all.
Cheers, buddy.